everybody, great to have you back. Welcome to part 4 of our risk management series. I hope you have watched part 1, part 2 and part 3 of the risk management series. By now you should know how to plan risk, that is how to write a risk plan and how to identify the risk. So you know already the 2 steps of risk management. If you missed any of the previous videos, the links are in the comment below. Do check them out before continuing. In this video, we will explore the 3rd step of risk management, that is qualitative risk analysis. Let's get started. To begin qualitative risk analysis, we first need to gather the outputs from the previous step, that is identify risk. So this is the risk register which I have fetched from the previous video where we discussed identify risk. So these are the list of risk identified, risk category, roles and responsibility, risk response and risk action. After identifying all the risks, we need to prioritize them. In other words, we can say that we need to determine which risk requires action first and which can be prioritized later. That's where qualitative risk analysis comes into the picture. By performing qualitative risk analysis on all the identified risks, we can categorize them based on their priority levels, that is very high, high, medium, low or nil. This helps the project team to focus on the most critical risk and allocate resource effectively. Now let's see exactly how to do this. The first step in qualitative risk analysis is to estimate probability of each identified risk. Probability here means how likely a risk is to occur. There is no fixed formula to give the probability percentage. It is usually determined by the project manager based on project conditions, constraints, or organizational experience or market trends. Now let's look at how to estimate probability by evaluating an actual project scenario. So right now here on the screen, I have a list of all the risks identified. One by one, I will assign the probability to each risk. So my first risk is skilled employee shortage. So skilled employee shortage, I'll think that way, that my project is technically complex. And so due to which some of the employees, they don't know the technical thing or there is a technical skill gap. So I need to train them. So probability of having this risk is not very high because some of them are there, but yes, around 60% I feel that. I have got this 60% not out of any formula, but by analyzing my project scenario. Now let's move to the second risk, that is equipment downtime risk. So I know my equipments are very new and it has been properly installed, calibration has been done. So risk chances of equipment downtime is very less, so somewhat around 30%. So the next risk is flood, earthquakes and extreme weather conditions. So my project, right now I'm in the planning stage. When my project will go in the execution stage, that time it would be a rainy season. So I know from now that chances of rain would be high, so floods can be there, high chances or high probability, so I have given it 90%. So now that you know the probability for each risk, you have to give the score to each risk. So first risk is skill employee shortages. The probability is 60%. So score here we have to find in the table. 41 to 60% score is 3. So we will give 3. Similarly, for equipment downtime, it is 30%. So it would be score would be 2, and for 90% the score would be 5. Alright, once you are done with the probability and the score, the next step is to define the impact for each risk on your list. By impact here means if this happens, how bad is it for our objectives? Now let's calculate the risk impact for each of the identified risks. By impact here, we mean that we are going to calculate the cost impact. Cost impact is the additional cost the project will incur if a risk occurs. Now let's see how to exactly find the cost impact for each identified risk. So to calculate the cost impact for the first risk, that is shortage of skilled labor or skilled workers, we have to think like this, that if this risk happens, I have to, if I don't get a skilled labor or skilled workers for my project, I have to spend 10K to the recruitment agency to hire. That is an extra cost. And I would also have to, I may have to arrange some trainings. That would be extra 10K. So this makes the cost impact 20K. Now let's calculate the cost impact for the next risk, that is equipment downtime. So if this risk occurs, I have to spend next 30K to repair the equipment. So the cost impact is 30K here. The last risk is flood, earthquake or something. If the natural calamities comes in, then I have to spend extra 80K for damage repair and all. Insurance cost will add up, and that's why the impact here is 80K. After calculating the cost impact for each risk, now we need to give the score to each cost impact using this table. So the impact for the first risk, that is skilled labor shortages, is 20K. So if you see in this table, 20K lies in the, for score 1, right? We can give score 1 to it. Then comes the next risk, that is equipment downtime risk. For this, that is the impact is 30K. So for this, the score becomes 2, because 2 is 20, between 21K to 40K. The next is the third risk impact, that is floods, earthquake and extreme weather, that is 80K for it. So if you see in this table, 80K, for 80K the score is 4. Alright, so now we have risk probability score and risk impact score. So now we have to use both this score to find out the quality of each risk. So let's see how to do this exactly. Alright, to calculate the quality of risk using the risk impact score and probability score, we can use this probability impact matrix. So by using this, we can understand the quality of risk. So let's pick up the first risk, that is skilled labor shortage. So probability score for this is 3 and the impact score is 1. So if you see this matrix, the probability 3, so we will count 1 2 3 3, and impact is 1, so 3 and 1, this makes it medium risk. Well, now let's move on to the next risk, that is equipment downtime risk. So for that, the probability score is 2 and the impact score is also 2. So let's use the probability matrix again. So for probability, we will count 1 2 2, and for impact also 1 2. So these two line joins at medium, so this makes this risk again a medium risk. It's time to find the quality of the last and the third risk, that is flood, earthquakes and extreme weather condition. For this, probability score is 5 and impact score is 4. So in this case, if probability is 5, so score is 5, and impact if we count 4, so these two meet at the extreme, that is very high. So quality of this risk is very high. Well, so here we have done the qualitative analysis for all the risk on the risk register. Now that you know the quality of each risk, you can easily prioritize them. Like here, the third risk is a very high risk, so you should prioritize that, and rest of the two risks you can do later. Well, we have come to the end of this video, and this was how we do qualitative risk analysis using probability impact matrix. In my next video, I am going to talk about bubble chart, which is another interesting method to understand the qualitative risk analysis. See you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye. Thanks for watching.